Okay, so welcome back to Babylon in Hidden Sight. So today we're looking at the fifth day of creation. So get ready. But first of all, let me introduce this web series. So Babylon in Hidden Sight is a web series hosted by Jessie Emile that highlights the art of mimicking used by the devil. The 21st century is based on visual communication, where what's believed is actually what can be seen. The science behind seeing goes deeper than the eye's usage, since illusions are also experienced through the eyes. Okay, so let's continue. So today we're talking about the fifth day. Let's start with the word first. So Genesis 1:20-23, I will read. So, and God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creatures that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales and every living creature that moved, which the waters brought forth abundantly, after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Okay, so on the fifth day, the thing to remember is God created the moving creatures. But what's interesting in French is that they use living creatures. And also in Creole, the Bible says bêtes vivantes, so living creatures once again. But in English, the difference is that they're using the word moving creatures, which I thought was interesting. Now, why, you may ask? Because if you've watched from the beginning of this web series, then we've discussed about how the water have waves, okay, depending on the sound. And let's take wind too as a sound, okay, the wind. So when you take sound, well, the waters react to sounds and produces waves. Truth and truth. And also, sound travels way more better through water than through air. Another fact to keep in mind. Also, the internet cables are actually located under the sea, and the sky is filled with satellites. So let the waters bring forth abundantly moving creatures. So first we see the identification of flying and swimming. And also there's something to remember, that if you're above, okay, let's say I'm on a plane, well, they generally provide a mask oxygen, because if something happens with the plane, because above there's less air, less oxygen, then we need these masks to prevent this from happening, okay? And on the other side, even under the sea, if we want to do some exploration, we also need a oxygen mask and even an oxygen machine, okay?
911, what's your emergency?
Truth, I wanna see you. I wanna see you. Truth, truth. Ton cœur est d'un mauve abattu. Tu saignes. Because for us flesh human, we cannot breathe under the sea. So just a thing to keep in mind. And also in Genesis, we saw earlier that there's water above and there's water below. Okay. And now my question would be like, the water above, is it like liquid water, or is it more like vapeur, de la vapeur, smoke? Yeah. Okay, so then there is a separation of kinds. Okay, so you can only make after your kinds. So we all have the seed within. Then God saw that it was good because he judged his work, and then he blessed them. And when God blesses something, generally that means that that thing multiplies, just like the seed that you plant. Okay, so then let's do some gematria. So 5. Of course, we think of the moving creatures. So 5 symbolizes life. It symbolizes air. Just like the air, there's no oxygen above, there's no oxygen under the sea. Then it represents, of course, the ocean. So I could also add the sky. Yeah, I could add sky, ocean. Oops. So ocean. And I would add the sky. Okay. Then it also represents movement. So just like water waves, sound waves. It represents water above and below. It also represents the spiritual, because the unseen, in other words. Because just like the word says, the world is made of invisible thing. God is spirit, so we can only worship him in spirit. And the same goes with that verse that says we're not fighting against flesh and blood, but against principalities. Let me pull out this verse. Okay, so for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay. Whew. Okay, so of course 5. Okay, what's equal 5? So 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Then 5 equals 1 plus 4. But 1 plus 4 also equals 14. Then 5 equals 2 plus 3, which also equals 23. 5 plus 5, so 5 times 2 equals 10. And 10 equals 1. Then 5 times 5 equals 25. So Hebrew 11:3 says, through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. What a beautiful verse to close this gematria analysis. Okay, so now let's look at in the real world, or in other words, in the new world, what 5 represents in logos, okay, which is another type of communication. But first, let's talk about Dagon bowing to God. So who is Dagon? Okay, so let's read this 1 Samuel 5 2 to 4. So it says, when the Philistines took the ark of God, they brought it into the house of Dagon. Okay, so this was there was a war going on, and the Philistines were able to, they defeated Israel. Not the war, just this fight. Okay, it was the fight. So they defeated Israel in that fight, and they took the ark of God, which represented the presence of God over their land. Okay, so they took it and brought it to their land. Okay, so they brought it to the house of Dagon, their idol god, and set it by Dagon. And when they of Ashdod arose early on the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of the Lord. So he was bowing to the Lord. And they took Dagon and set him in his place again. So see, Dagon was, wait. The ark of the Lord was placed on the side of Dagon. And in the morning, they realized that the Dagon statue was bowing to the ark. So it was not only bowing, but it was in front of the ark. Okay, and when they arose earlier, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord. And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him. So just remember the palm, which is really important in that lecture today. And yes, in that teaching or analysis or study, however you want to call it.
Something about you seems different. I can't quite figure it out.
She got legs!
Out of the sea. 60 days. Warm light. Abstain from mirrors.
Okay, so worship creature over creature. Okay, so another verse I'd like to introduce. So it's Romans 1:25 to 27, and it says, who changed the truth of God into a lie and worshipped and served the creature more than the creator. So remember, we're in 5 and we're talking here about moving creatures. So, and the moving creatures, the ones in the sea and the ones in the firmament, in the sky. For this, 'cause God gave them up to vile affections, for even their woman did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one towards another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was meet. Because God really wants a heart that repents, that recognize their fault. So whenever you're acting out of pride, then he lets you go, and the path of men's heart is destruction.
Unicellular organisms, meaning creatures that consist of just one cell, such as bacteria, usually clone themselves during cell division.
Our creatures will restore humanity to the greatness intended for it. And the ones made with my egg and my son's sperm will be the most powerful.
They'll be our Napoleons deploying their brute brethren to kill every man on the planet.
Except for the ones we keep as sex slaves.
Okay, so now 5. Okay, so in logo, 5 represents the pentagon. Now you may ask, what is the link between... Okay, no, that makes sense. Okay, so 5 represents the pentagon, so it has 5 sides. And speaking of the pentagons, because you know how geometry and music and math are all related, which I've talked earlier in episode 2. Okay, so we can also relate it to the Pentagon of Washington. So, no, not of Washington, or Virginia, which is near Washington by the river. So the Pentagon headquarters of the U.S., which is located in the Arlington County in Virginia. So it's really across the Potomac River from Washington, District Columbia. It represents the Department of Defense. And this photo was taken around 2018. I think this one was considered to be one of the biggest office, the third, when I saw on Wikipedia, the third biggest office in the world. See, you have the corridor, let's say. So the corridor must be really long. And also the sections doesn't touch each other from what we see here in the photo. And in the middle, there's a star. Okay, a star, and then you have a pentagon as the heart of the landscape. So we have a plan here, the pentagon, and see, you have the star in the middle, but you also have an extra corridor, which kind of looks like a, I don't know. So that would be 6 sides, but yeah. But the pentagon, let's focus on the star, the 5-star. We can also relate it to the Walk of Fame, which is located in Los Angeles. So unlike God, whose star appeared in the firmament when Jesus was born, the fallen angel, their stars are literally in Los Angeles. And we can do a quick Los Angeles word game. Let's say Los Angeles, Los Angeles, Les Anges, Les Anges déchus in French. So stars were printed on the ground of Hollywood, which is kind of like Halloween City or Halloween area. Well, that's how they depict it throughout the television and social media. But we can't really trust what we see on social media, honestly. But anyway, so this is something to keep in mind. So Virginia, Los Angeles, then see how the pentagon, the star actually fit the pentagon. So these are both related. Then also we can think of, it's a union behind entertainment. See the BLM. This is like the Black Panther logo, or the black power logo or hand sign, and then there's a game inside the hand. So yes, this is really a union, but we'll talk about it a little later. But for now, let's just focus on this. And it started in New York, and see if you switch these two letters, you get AI. Okay, so then the puppet. So let's see the use of the puppet throughout the history and what is their relationship with AI. So one thing to keep in mind is that the AI generally is told what to say. Okay, it is programmed in a way, it is programmed in the frame of architecture, of thoughts and decisions. So the same goes with puppets, but in that case, instead of using technology or remote technology, the puppets were using des fils. And sometimes we're using our hands inside the puppet and then we move it with our fingers. So this is the same principle. Okay, so the puppeteers Sid and Martin Croft had a successful career on the stage in America and Europe. Throughout the 1950s, one morning Sid awoke with the idea to create a show with marionettes for adults only. Okay, so think about it. Think also of Barbie. Think of the show Girls, complete with music, comedy, horror, celebrities, and topless puppets. And the topless puppets is something that I would like for you to keep in mind. The topless, okay? So sexualization is already introduced through it. And just the fact that it says for adult only tells you a lot. And they're going to use comedy, music. These are like universal languages, because if you think of before comedy didn't have any speech. It was just about the gestures. Like we can think of Charlie Chaplin. Or when it comes to music, it doesn't necessarily has to do with words. It can simply be sound. So these are really universal languages. The visuals, something that is spooky doesn't really need words. Just a visual only makes the thing. Then celebrities, these are faces that you recognize. So once again, they don't need truly introduction. And generally their names, if I take Kim Kardashian, for example, generally names doesn't need translation. Even if she has an acronym, which used to be KKW, at the same time, KKW could be also seen as KKK or World War III, depending on how you see it. So sometimes these celebrities are also used as a way to communicate, and it goes way deeper than what they're wearing, their singles, their Oscars. It goes way deeper than that, because there's a strong connection with men in power, aka politics, and celebrities. Because why do we often see celebrities end up with presidents or with people that has high seats in politics? So this is Maurice Chevalier and Stanley Holloway, which kind of looks like Hollywood or Halloween, with the Chevalier marionette. And this is on the Bell Telephone Hour. And the Bell Telephone Hour is basically the communication company, which allows us to exchange signals from country to countries or from places to places. So this is really the technology of satellites, telephone, the introduction of sound, being able to travel.
The following program comes to you from New York in living color on NBC.
Let me entertain you Let me make you smile. Let me do a few tricks.
Someone somewhere would enjoy hearing your voice by telephone tonight. A long-distance call is the next best thing to being there.
Let me entertain you. Let me make you smile.
Ted Williams with you.
It's the golden voice, golden
That's
voice.
right.
It's the golden voice. Shine. Your voice is golden.
That's right. Oh, I love my theme song.
Obama out.
First, the amazing turnaround for Ted Williams. As we said, we'll talk to him about his rough life, his golden moment, thanks to his golden voice in just a moment. But first, NBC's...
Avoiding uncomfortable truths, it requires the occasional disruption, the willingness to speak out for what is right, to shake up the status quo. That's America.
He was just another beggar by the highway, but his sign said, "I have a God-given gift of voice." So the reporter from the Columbus Dispatch took a chance.
Say something with that great radio voice.
When you're listening to nothing but the best of oldies, you're listening to Magic 98.9.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Is Ted Williams, 53, from Brooklyn. As a teen, he fell in love with broadcasting after a chance meeting with a local DJ.
He said to me, listen, radio is defined theater of mind.
But
Alcohol and drugs and a few other things became a part of my life.
he says he's clean now, but spent the last decade on the streets.
A constitution that had at its very core the ideal of equal citizenship under the law. A constitution that promised its people liberty and justice, and a union that could be and should be perfected over time.
Perfect, man.
From the side of the road to inside the studios of local radio, where many callers offered Williams employment, even a mortgage.
I just didn't know if anything like this would have happened.
Okay, and the sign that they're using is really the horn, okay, to represent the devil horn. Then, in terms, once again, of poupée marionnette, the same puppet show that happened in Paris, Jane Mansfield was part of it. And some things that we often see with these puppets is that they have blonde hair, okay, which is the color of Barbie, the color of the people Hitler considered as the true race. Another thing to keep in mind. So see here in this photo, so we have Jane Mansfield, which was recognized for her breast, especially. She also played the double of Marilyn Monroe. But when we say the double, it's not that she was the double of Marilyn Monroe, but more of a second Marilyn Monroe, because Marilyn Monroe, we have to think about her as a character. As a character, a puppet, yeah, exactly. Here in this photo on the right, we see once again Les Poupées de Paris with showgirls in the back. And Jane Mansfield is representing this image of showgirl, just like also Marilyn Monroe is. And just like we discussed, see how there's a link between celebrities and presidents. So they are, in a sense, all characters. This is something we have to think of, okay? And because they're really intertwined when you think about it. Like you see celebrities in news, just like you see presidents and politicians in news. But at the same time, you also see celebrities and politicians together. So it's like they're all in bed together. Which reminds me of this cover that Kanye West did, titled, I can't remember what was I can't remember the project name, but we had the wax figures of Donald Trump, Amber Rose, Kim Kardashian, Rihanna, all in the same bed, which was kind of creepy. But I think it's another type of communication, something that is being communicated to us, the audience, for those who wants to see. Okay, so this is the dress that Marilyn wore when she sang Happy Birthday to the President, to the former president, John F. Kennedy, on May 1962. So 1960, very important era for television. Just after the World War III, television became really a key point of the American society. Everyone had a TV because World War II was heavily in the news.
This is Marilyn Monroe's dress, and it's 60 years old, and she wore this when she sang Happy Birthday to President John F. Kennedy in 1962.
So the news like NBC, ABC, CBS, these were the first channels to exist before all the other type of entertainment. So in that case, okay, so we have Marilyn. So you see the siren look. So she has this very tight dress that accentuates her waist. It's really a long dress that has this siren structure, let's say. At the time, having her arms are not covered, which was unusual at the time, considered to be sexual, sensual, risque, okay, in other words. And then she has a purple. She has like diamonds on her dress. And I think the dress was a beige, which is like the nude color. So it's as if it's giving her this nude look also. And then she has the blonde hair. And she, of course, Marilyn Monroe was known for her blonde hair, which has become the Hollywood image of success too, and beauty and sensuality. And even today, everyone has blonde hair, okay? Sometimes you see Rihanna has blonde hair. Every time like an artist does blonde hair, or the leader of the pack does the blonde hair, everyone follows. And there's like a season for it every time. And now is the time of blonde hair, which reminds me also of Rihanna and Beyonce launching their hair products. And both has blonde hair for the campaign.
The way it's making people feel. I'm proud that it's not one-dimensional and that it's for multiple textures. I'm very, very grateful for all of the support, and I'm very thankful to you guys. And I hope y'all have a sacred Sunday.
Okay, then Marilyn Monroe was also the face of Playboy, which started in New York. New York is a very key important for the star of Remphan, which is what we're actually seeing here, the Pentagon. So we've talked about Virginia, we've talked about Hollywood, then of course New York, very key city. So see, she's doing the palm hands, just like all the politicians do when they present themselves in a space. Generally, they're always like showing their palm. This is a form of ritual or salute to their idol god, of course. So remember Dagon, siren. So this is all in the same pack. Okay, so the palm. Okay, so you wave your hand. You just wave it. Okay. Then you also have the peace as a symbol for Playboy. And this is really to represent the bunny. Okay. And think of Easter, where they introduce the goddess of fertility. Okay. And then you have also the character of Bugs Bunny, which was played by Marilyn Monroe, like we saw. She was literally the bunny, everyone running after her. Anyway, and you know, she has this carrot. And what does that represent, the carrot? Something to keep in mind, because they're very subliminal too, you know. So Bugs Bunny is a character, but is Bugs Bunny simply a spirit, you know? Because this is something to keep in mind. So Dagon is a reference to the Marine Kingdom. And as a reference in the Marine Kingdom, if we look at the story of La Petite Sirène, the mermaid, so there's the siren, okay, and she represents beauty. Generally, she sings. She's attracted. She's like a fisher of men in a sense, because men are attracted to her. She sings very well. Her words are seductive too. So it's like she also represents the serpent in a sense where she is seducing. So the same spirit. Of course, Jesus is above, and the spirit that wants dominion on earth, dominion over the flesh. Just like in Babylon City, when there were construction, it was the fallen angels having children with men, flesh. And then God said, oh my God, this is an abomination. I have to flood the earth. And there were giants. So flooding the earth was best, since there were giants. So that's what he did. But at the same time, God is saying everything seasons and cycle. So is that what we're seeing here? Is that the spirit of the fertility God? Because does the carrot represent a male organ? Because the character is a woman. And also you having the mouth really pink inside. I don't know, but there's a lot of references. And then we can think of the BET, Black Entertainment. But when we say black, are we talking about the color of the skin? Because generally in the Bible, or when we refer to the First Nation, we're talking about the red people, which refers to what we call today black. But truly, when we're talking about black, we're talking about the darkness. So darkness, the entertainment of darkness. Because this star that we're seeing here, the Bible refers to it as the star of Remphan, which we will read later on. But black entertainment. And also in the same black entertainment, I didn't have this channel at home, but sometimes I did have access to it when I went to cousins. I remember in that channel, every movie video was sexualized. And the blacks were always gangsters, and the red women were always being denuded, and the mixed too. The mixed, or referred to as mulatto, were also half naked. So this is something I remember, because when you look at the other cultures, you never see any of their women half naked on the air. And on the air, I refer to radio waves, to the television, to all the electronics, the remote electronics that we use to consume videos, sounds, visuals. Yes. So also we can think of the Jackson 5. So 5-star, Jackson 5, the palm of the hand, the 5 fingers. And there were also children, something to keep in mind. And they were known in that photo. It was when they were performing their first single, I Want You Back. And Jackson was the youngest, I think. But he was already set apart, like destined to be the star or the fallen angel. I don't know. Okay, so the star. So this is the star of Remphan, which is related to Moloch. Moloch, the synagogue of Satan. But here we're talking about the 5-point star around a circle. I don't know exactly what these represent. Some refer to it as a bull, but truly, this is the Baphomet. The bull is the real animal, but generally the Baphomet is like the dragon version of the bull. So, you know, the hand signs that says as above, so below, or because he has like the 2 fingers up and then 2 down. And see the Baphomet appearing in this. So you have the horn, just like in the beginning when they were doing the horn signs. Okay, then the ears, the mouth, the eyes in the middle, and the V in the middle too. And then the middle, you can see the pentagon, and then you can see the triangle here, the circle. So there's a lot of ways to look at it, okay? And then you see just beside the Baphomet, you see 2 children. So he's really targeting children. If you want to destroy a generation, you start with the children, and then you're sure that the ones coming after are going to be the path of destruction. Also, the Baphomet has wings because he's a fallen angel. Then see where the genital is placed. You see it's like a serpent, or it's like an 8. Then you see a sword, which looks like it at least. But this is also the logo of hospital industry, or the governmental hospital. And this is like in reference that says neither a male or female. Okay. So then see the so above, so below. So we have the hand signs here. Hand signs are truly important. Okay, so the star of Remphan. Okay, so Acts 7:41-43. And they made a calf in those days. So this is when the Israelites were fleeing Egypt, when God freed them, despite being freed from the hand of their enemies. So, and they made a calf in those days, and offered sacrifice unto the idol, and rejoiced in the works of their own hands. Then God turned and gave them up to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets. O ye house of Israel, have you offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Yea, ye took up the tabernacle of Moloch and the star of your god Remphan, figures which ye made to worship them, and will carry you away beyond Babylon. You know, like the statue, the graven images, the very expensive paintings that we see in the Musée de Paris, the Panthéon, and all these crafted images. So these are the images that the people were worshipping. And the perfect example that they use in the Bible was the golden calf. So generally, when worshipping other gods, it always has to do with creatures, but because most of the false religion, all these religions that are going astray from Jesus, the only path, they're generally worshipping creature spirits, because there are all types of spirits, okay, from what I understand. And generally they're worshipping creature spirits, just like God said, they will worship the creature more than the creator. So the calf, this is a representation of a animal spirit, a creature spirit. They did it with their hands. So remember, it's like the statue, and think of all the Greek statues that we see, all the graven images we see in buildings, even in architecture, in paintings, in art, etc. So they made them with their hands and then worship them. So they're really bowing to the own works of their hands. And of course, it is related to the tabernacle of Moloch, the Baphomet, who's used as the figure. And then the star of Remphan, it's the star, the 5-star, the pentagon, and which also probably has other faces too. So once again, we can link it to Metropolis, which also is a reference to the Babylon, the mother of abomination, to AI, to the love machine, to pleasure, the pleasure machine, to Barbie. And she's located in the city in Babylon, which is also related to Egypt. And she's made, it's like you can think of the golden calf, and you can think of sort of this like AI robot. Is basically the same thing, but just in a different century. So it has like a slightly different look. Now it's more of it has the look of a woman, seductive woman, an entertainer, with a pretty face, innocent look, siren-like seduction. She has very beautiful words. She's in control of the air, so sound, visual. She uses signals, and we can think of all the TV channels of Colombia, the Bell Telegraph. So this is really deep, okay? And all this is related to the United States, which is united with other nations, like Germany, Russia, Egypt, Russia, the Philistines, England, Europe, whatever. Asia too, because we can reference this to China dolls, to the Barbie, who's probably made in China. It's really about like the beauty, the Barbie beauty, and the beast, the Baphomet, the creature who's being praised. And you see the yellow dress, you can think of Colombia, who has this yellow dress, the golden era, where everything is romanticized. The union, the abomination, the reason why God flooded the earth. The desire of man's heart, which is an abomination to God, against God's will. Now you can also think of judgment coming. You can think of Egypt. You can think of also the statue that are like feet taller, which represents the giants, like the pyramids of Giza and the pharaohs statue that we see in Las Vegas and so-called Egypt. And also a channel that is really important, or a production image company that is really important, is Disney. Disney, they have a Disney World, they have attraction park, pleasure. Pleasure is the goal. Okay, so let's conclude and do a quick comparison of 5. Okay, so first. Okay, so on the left side, it represents darkness, which symbolizes the absence of light. The right symbolizes the presence of light, which is Jesus. Okay, so in the darkness, so we have 5, which represents the Baphomet, okay, the beast, the creature, okay, that made with women, with flesh women. So the Baphomet on the right will be the bull, okay, the actual animal, but in the Baphomet will be like the dragon version, the transformed version, the modified version. Okay, so then we have Hollywood, okay, like Halloween, and the right side will be Jerusalem, who is considered to be the Holy Land. Okay, then we have blonde, okay, on the left side, and on the right, red, and as a reference to the skin tones of the Israelites, the First Nation, which has nothing to do with black, really. Okay, because sea blonde is on the darkness. So then siren, which is like a dragon version of the fish on the right. Okay, so human mixed with animals. Then we have the synagogue of Satan. Then we have the Israelites, okay, the church of God, who are the church, or anyone who accepted Jesus, even the strangers. Then you have the palm, which is the way to salute their God on the left. And then on the right, you have the right hand, where Jesus is sitting on the right of God because he resurrected. Then you have entertainment. Okay, entertainment on the darkness, that's what they use. But for us believing in God, it's worship. We worship God. So entertainment is a type of worship, something to keep in mind. Then we have New York, which is considered to be like the light of the world. But then we have the real light of the world. But what's the opposite? I haven't found the real place yet. But I don't think New York is the light of the world. It's really the light of Babylon, the darkness of Babylon. Okay, so then we have speech of seduction, which is used by the entertainers, the beautiful woman, the beauty and the beast. And on the right, we have the word of truth. Okay, because speech of seduction is really to lead you astray. And we can think of NASA, but we'll talk about them a little later. Okay, so now the walk of fame, which are the stars printed on the ground. On the right, which is the stars in the firmament. And the stars in the firmament represents the prosperity of God's children. And remember, when Jesus was born, a star appeared, which they followed to find him physically. Okay, so now let's talk about the Star of Remphan, of course, the Pentagon. And the real truth is the Star of Jesus, which is on the right. Then we have the radio wave. So radio wave is just a reference to the made up technology that we use to make music. And for God, it's really sound wave. So where acoustically is music too. Then we have the phoenix, which is the dragon version of the dove, which dove represents peace, but the phoenix represents destruction, which you can also see on as the emblem of America, on the flag of Egypt. He has a lot of faces, but sometimes it's simply depicted as a dragon phoenix. Just like the phoenix dragon or a lion, tiger, whatever, panther in New York that they did for the United Nations. It was an exhibition done by Mexican artists, I believe. And then finally we have AI, which is artificial intelligence. But truth is, men are the creation of God, and AI are the creation of men, used as vessels or used as voodoo dolls. Just like Barbie, just like all these type of dolls. Even the paintings are sometimes have unclean spirits living inside of them. So objects are vessels for spirits.